hospitals. So it just means that we have to travel out of the area if we have to transport one of these patients, because we've apprehended them. So that was one of the things that we were working with the sound of my own voice.
Yes.
So that was one of the things that we're working with the hospital on, just figuring out how to assist people that are having a mental health crisis and determining whether or not we actually need to apprehend them and take them to a designated facility that's outside of the community, and then how do they get back? Sometimes the hospital or the medical clinic can help directly.
Okay, thank you.
Let's scroll. So the ambulance service doesn't do that anymore?
So the ambulance service will transport mental health patients. But if we have a situation where we've apprehended them because of a safety concern, then we have to transport them unless they have a concurrent medical issue that requires like paramedic monitoring. Then we have to go in the ambulance with them, which creates its own set of challenges. But yeah, so the ambulance does transport mental health patients, but under this specific type of apprehension form under the legislation, we have to do the transport usually.
Which makes it kind of interesting, I imagine, that kind of unpredictable and not really knowing where, what's gonna happen. Mind you, that could be anybody as well, right? Depending on their situation.
It can create some challenges for both the patient and for us too. If it takes us in the community, it's, at least 5 hours of driving for the patient too. How do they get back? And they're obviously outside of their primary care area too.
So plus you may have to stay there until somebody can take care of that individual. It's not just drop off and go.
Right.
It's somebody hand them to somebody that will then take responsibility for them.
Fortunately, in Alberta, the designated facilities all have peace officers that can assist us with handover as well. So that is very helpful. It's something that we didn't have when I worked at BC. It's definitely better.
Okay. Do you have an idea where you're headed as far as what may be the next step? Are you going to continue with this action plan as far as communication and highway control and everything for the rest of it? I guess depending on what they sort of suggests.
Yep, it's definitely open to council and mayor input. And we meet with the other communities as well, Youngstown, special areas. And then if there is an emerging issue that comes up even over the course of the year, we can pivot to that. We don't have to stick with something, if, for example, all of our offenders who are in court imposed conditions suddenly move out of the community, then we can pivot our priorities to something else. But those seem to be generally the most asked for requests that we get is to focus on those priorities, along with our usual work of arresting offenders and forwarding charges.
Is drug still an issue as far as you're concerned?
Well, I would say drugs are always an issue. We still have a core group of a small number of individuals that still use illicit drugs in the community. Hasn't gone away. I wouldn't say it's gotten bigger either, but it's still there.
Thank you.
Actually, like, the home situation and stuff is, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. And winter's coming on and could get worse, but I mean.
Yeah, the cold winters, it's creates some challenges for people that are at homes for sure.
Any other questions for Rob?
Do you have any requests or anything from the council about?
No, not at this point in time. I just always request, open feedback. My door is always open, so to speak. And always reach out to me if you have any concerns that we want to take a look at.
Okay, thanks, Rob. And, once again, informative and yeah, you know, I have your number and, so if we have any issue, we'll definitely reach out. Motion to thank Rob for the present, or Staff Sergeant Wellman for the presentation, Counselor Cole, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have Cube Investments.
Thank you for everything.
Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Up right over there.
Anywhere you want, and Rob's probably gonna try to leave us, so.
Let me stick around. It's right here, that's all right.
That's perfect, yeah.
You wanna?
Thank you.
All right, thank you for allowing me to come. So I just want to give a quick introduction here. So my name is Wyatt Lenz. I'm an associate portfolio manager at Cube Investment Management. It's a portfolio management firm in Edmonton, Alberta, but we service clients across Western Canada. We manage about $400 million, just surpassed that about a quarter ago. We service private clients, business owners, businesses, and now municipalities. So there's two main reasons why we began serving municipalities. The first is that there's only 2 or 3 main providers for municipalities in terms of the investment space. And the second reason is that we noticed that municipalities, through their financial statements, had market losses the last 3 to 4 years because of the rising interest rates, which shows me that current investment managers in that municipal space are not reading the yield curve correctly. So Cube is comprised of 6 portfolio managers. 4 of us have CFAs, all of us at least have a bachelor's, 4 of us have masters. Combined, 6 of us have 60+ years of experience. And for the first 2 decades of the firm, it was mainly those private clients, businesses, business owners managing those funds. However, as time progressed over the last few years, we've noticed institutional niches that could be served better, and one was municipalities. So we basically sat down about 2 years ago and we decided, can we create something that's MGA compliant, while also mitigates risk while maximizing return while staying liquid. And after a few months, we created a sample portfolio. We were able to do that while staying compliant to MGA. And because we were able to do this, we began using as allocation this and our meeting with CEOs, directors of corporate services, directors of finance to present the portfolio. As of now, we have 3 municipalities onboarded. However, because it's a bit slower in some municipalities, we presented a lot over the last 2 to 3 months. So we're expecting quite a few more municipalities that have already signed on come the fall as they're currently reviewing the proposal. So a quick background about Cube. We are trusted fiduciaries, so we are registered with the Alberta Securities Commission to provide discretionary advice. They are the regulatory agency that oversees us. They provide audits on us. They have a check and balance. So we are registered with them, all 6 portfolio managers and the firm itself. We currently manage over $400 million. So that includes municipal funds, retail clients, businesses, business owners, foundations, endowments, reserve funds. We don't hold money in house. All $400+ million is held by our custodian, National Bank. We are not beholden to National Bank, so if we want to switch to a different custodian, we have the right to do so. And the reason we use a custodian is for safety of investments and additional safety measure, because they do have the Canadian Investor Protection Fund, and Cube itself is not. We could hold the money, but we don't have that insurance. So, lastly, Cube can only transfer to money from the municipality's bank account. We're not at liberty to transfer to another investment account, so it's a kind of a one-way street there. So we're very transparent with all our investments. Everything can be accessed online through our third-party software system Index, also through National Bank's online portal. You can view the daily interest, sells, buys, the fees being dripped out of the account, performance that's monthly, weekly, daily, and annually, and also annualized. We also send out quarterly mail through your statements, the same thing with an annual statement, which is a bit more beefy as well. There's no locked in contract, so if municipality signs on a Tuesday, the Wednesday they reach out and they want to transfer the money somewhere else, there's no locked in period, there's no transfer fee, everything is transferred out. Takes about 3 to 5 days to liquidate and transfer everything. So our team does have a very in-depth understanding of MGA section 250 and alt reg 149/2022, which is the municipal investment regulation in Alberta, which basically says municipalities can invest in HISAs, corporate and government bonds, A- and above. In addition to notes and market GICs issued by a bank, trust corporation, or bank or trust corporation in Canada. So we've been crafting bond portfolios for well over a decade, so even though we're kind of new into the municipal space, been in it for about a year and a half. The crafting a portfolio for foundation versus municipality is not overly different. It's matching cash flow needs and matching liquidity needs and risk tolerances with the right investments. So the objectives when we're managing municipal funds, we came up with 3 that we're trying to attain. The first is protect the town's principal investment. This is the most important and something that we saw eroded over the last few years. So if you look on any financial statements for large counties, MDs, and some towns, you'll see that the carrying cost of investments over the last few years was higher than the market cost of the investment. So the current value of those bonds, those notes, they're lower than what was paid with, which is an indicator that the municipalities in Alberta are not being set up properly, and that principal investment is at risk if you have to sell early, which is what we saw for a lot of years. You're realizing that loss if you sell. If you hold to maturity, it's okay, but if cash flow needs ever do arise, you'd be selling at a loss. Secondly, outperform inflation. So even those municipalities that are doing all right with short-term notes, deposits, GICs, you're still performing with inflation because the Bank of Canada sets the rates of those GICs and the short-term deposits. So they set them to be at inflationary levels, so they're not really outperforming inflation, so there's no additional purchasing power for the town being. And third, we want to create a tailored investment strategy. So we have 3 municipalities, but each one has a different strategy. So one has a 300K bond ladder, another one has just one note, another one has a combination of notes and bonds. So every portfolio we present to municipality is specifically built for that municipality, their cash flow needs, risk tolerance, liquidity needs. We use 5 main classes of investments. Time for savings account for liquidity needs. The second is government corporate bonds for cash flow. The third, fourth, and fifth are auto callable notes, flex GICs, and market GICs. These are the products that have higher returns than that of bonds and a high interest savings account. Right now, the town of Hannah is invested in corporate bonds, federal bonds, and provincial bonds, I believe. So they are missing out on the higher returns of auto callable notes, flex GICs, and market GICs. Would you mind going back a slide briefly? So to give a bit of background on this, auto callable notes and market link GICs are products that are issued by the big 6 Canadian banks. So Scotiabank will issue them, CIBC will issue them. They'll create a product based on what we ask. So if we have a 5-year product, a 7-year product, a 10-year product, and it'll be linked to the performance of an underlying index. For example, the market link GIC, the first town we invested for, the town of Spirit River, which was agreed to serve as a reference. We invested $600,000 into a market link GIC 5-year product, and the performance was linked to the US stock market. So however well the US stock market does, that is the variable interest they'll receive. However, there's no risk of losing your initial investment as long as you hold to maturity because it's principally protected. So the bank issuing that note or that market link GIC, they're protecting that initial investment, so there's no risk of loss. And as I was talking about that 5-year product that town of Spirit River's in, that's performed just under 9% over a year. So it's done quite a bit better. Most bonds that say the town would be invested in are usually 3% year. So each one of these 5 investment classes mitigates a specific time count is mitigating the liquidity risk, so you wouldn't have to sell the loss if interest rates became super volatile. Government and corporate bonds mitigate reinvestment risks. If all your bonds are expiring during a period of like 08 or 2020 when interest rates are very low, well, then you're having to reinvest your whole portfolio at that new low interest rate and have to wait for them to mature. It's called reinvestment risk. And then market link GICs, alcohol notes, and flex GICs all mitigate the return risk. All of them are principally protected or covered. Government corporate bonds that says there's a debate in the industry if they're considered protected or not. The Municipal Government Act says that all bonds have to be A- or above. The chance of default for an A- bond over 1 year is 0.035% last time I checked. So the risk is extremely low for bonds, even though they may not be principally protected in traditional sense. So these are the expected returns we pulled in late May. Bank of Canada hasn't cut since then, so. These are a variety of the products that we can provide to the town, and we just pulled a whole bunch of them and showed you the ranges. As I said, Bank of Canada hasn't cut, so these may not be perfect. They may be a few basis points off, but because there hasn't been any cuts, this is a pretty good idea of what you could expect. The first 4 are pretty simple, just the expected annual interest rate there. And then that bottom part, the expected participation range, that's what I was talking about, the stock market. So depending what stock market it's linked to or what index it's linked to, you could have 70% of whatever performs in interest or 225%. For example, the 225% one is linked to the Canadian banks. Canadian banks don't grow as fast as the stock market, so over 5 years, it might grow 10%. You get 10% times 225%, that's the variable interest rate paid out to the tenant maturity. This is the management fee that we charge. It's on a pro rata basis, so it drips out of the account monthly. But the annual fees are shown, so under $5 million is 0.5%, 5 to 10 million is 0.4%, 10 to 25 million is 0.35%, and above 25 million is 0.3%. A national bank does charge a small fee of 0.05% for safekeeping and providing that insurance. So what would the town of Hannah receive if they did select Cube Investment Management? Manager for parts. The first is a tailored portfolio of investments that are specific to the town's needs. The investment goals and risk tolerance. The second is its crafted portfolio, MGA compliant and compliant with the town's investment policy if there is one. Very competitive expected returns for municipalities while staying compliant. Lastly, partnering with Alberta-based firm. So our headquarters is in Edmonton. We do serve across Alberta and British Columbia, but our main office is in Edmonton. So what I would like to offer, and I offer to all municipalities in my career, present as a delegation, is a portfolio review. So I did notice in the financial statements the town of Hannah has approximately $2 million in provincial bonds, government bonds, corporate bonds, and GICs. If you would like, we can conduct a portfolio review. It's a 5 to 7 page document that outlines the expected returns of your current portfolio, the fees, the risks. So are you exposed to liquidity risk? Are you exposed to reinvestment risk? And then also areas of possible improvement. And if there are areas of possible improvement, we would show you how we would manage the town's money. I do believe this will be beneficial. I did take a look at the financial statements for the town, 2024, 2023, and 2022. The market value of the bonds was below the book cost. So that's not terrible if you're holding to maturity, but if the town did require funds urgently, those would be sold at a loss, which is not ideal. As you probably want these should be safe investments to MGA, especially those restrictions. So I would encourage the town to consider a portfolio review. It only takes a week to complete, and I could come back and present it to the council, or if you'd like, I can present it directly to management. That is the duration of my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has.
So this would be at no cost to have a.
It's complimentary. Yeah.
And is there a minimum for investment?
$300,000 is the lowest we've invested for a municipality. But with $300,000, you can only have the bonds because the notes, the marketing, the GICs, there's more tailored products for the banks to issue them first. They need at least $500,000 per product. So $300,000 just for bonds, but $500,000 more if you want for more exotic products.
For your review, do you need much for staff input for that, or is this something you can build just off financial statements?
If I was provided the latest investment statement, the historical performance, and then I would need a quick conversation with the CEO about capital projects, liquidity needs, so that we can build a portfolio and serve as a possible investment.
And historically, I guess in the 8 years I've been sitting here, things have been safely held for maturity. I mean, carrying costs aren't a real concern. So my big concern would just be staff time, if it's heavy enough that way. Okay.
And then the other part, holding maturity is a fine strategy. However, there's no ability to benefit from yield curve movements and active management, which is one of the things we're doing actually. That's different than most municipal funds. So municipalities might buy a 10-year ladder. You'll see it quite often. They'll ladder up bonds once a year. You have 10 bonds expiring one per year. And as one expires, they just add them to the ladder, and there's not much to it. An example of active management would be, so in 2020, when the Bank of Canada started pushing a lot of money into the economy, inflation looked like it was going to take hold. So a portfolio manager in that scenario should have put everything short term and waited for interest rates to rise, which they do when inflation rises. And as those interest rates rose, you could have invested in the long-term bonds, because long-term bonds are very sensitive to interest rates. And then as the Bank of Canada has to bring it down to temper inflation, 2%, those bond prices increase, they can be realized at a gain, and then you can get to them. So that's part of the strategy, is more active approach than the current system. And this goes into first municipality we did invest for is the town of Spirit River. They've agreed to serve as a reference. And we have a pretty active bond strategy for them, and it's working out quite well. So if we'd like the CAO, so we'd be happy to chat to
Well,
Is there a cost switching things back and forth? Like, do you,
bonds.
like you said, adjusting
Yeah.
between, interest rates and that sort of thing? Is there a cost? Like, do you end up losing some if you're transferring it from one to the other during those time frames? Or is it straight cost and at the value, or is there some cost of doing that?
We sell and buy at the current market price. So as long as the current market price is above what we bought it at, then we sell at a loss. In terms of trading fees, I believe it's $15 a trade, I'm pretty sure. So it's pretty,
Minimum.
yeah. I believe it's, I would have to talk to our head trader.
Yeah, I guess that would be my concern, is if things are being transferred back and forth depending on certain markets or the interest rates and that sort of thing, that that may be an expense that, well, just to see what effect it would have on if you're losing interest or losing whatever you've gained in interest, and that, so it's.
So the interest is paid out usually every 6 months for bonds, so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. So like if the town of Hannah right now wanted to sell their bonds, then all the interest to this point should be paid out. And every 6 months forward, they get paid out, but the only concern is the price associated with the bonds that I'm saying. But if you I would have to take a quick look at the town of Hannah's current bonds to see what the price would be to give you a comprehensive. But even if, like I said, 2024, the market value of the bonds is below the book cost of bonds. Even if it could still make sense to sell a small loss in order to invest in products or higher returns over the long term. But we are fiduciaries, so if it's not worth it to switch, we have to tell you that you should stay with your body.
And does the interest go back in after that? Can it be reinvested into that instead of having it paid out. It can be-
Yeah. One municipality prefers to have their interest paid out to the, for operating,
Mhm.
and then other municipalities just want everything that we invest in, so whatever the town would like.
Thank you. Where are you located and where is this corporation located out of?
It's in Edmonton, Alberta, we're in the Bonnie Doon area, so it's in the Stratton.
Okay,
It's right next to campus St. John, it's the University of Edmonton campus,
thank
that's
you.
our head office.
Okay.
Any other questions, Ryan?
Are you expecting an answer today?
If you would like to let me know if you'd like to move forward with portfolio review, that's okay, but maybe within a couple of weeks and I can reach out and let me know.
Yeah, this is actually an information session, so we couldn't give you.
We can't move forward on it.
Usually that's how it goes.
Well, just that was my concern.
Oh.
We can't vote on anything until.
Yeah.
They'll take our money anytime. we-
No, if you would like to proceed, just within the next week or two, or if you could vote on it next council meeting, please do reach out, and then. I would come back, or one of my other portfolio managers would come back and we would present the findings, and that, obviously council. Deal with that information as if.
Oh, okay. Hey, Brian, great information.
Thank you.
Here, motion to accept Kyle's and or Ryan's information from Cube Investments.
Wyatt, right?
Wyatt, sorry, I wrote Ryan, Okay. Wyatt's in presentation from Cube for information, Councilor Warwick, all in favor? Carried. Next on the agenda, we have a new bylaw officer. Oh, sorry. Matthew. Actually, we have four. Does anybody want to do a pleasant presentation? Okay. CEO Matthew, or Michelle first, sorry.
Sure thing. Yeah, Matthew just asked if I could join the meeting today to just talk about some programming things that we have going on at Centennial Place. So Kevin and Darcy's team over there had some ideas of things they wanted to see going into fall. One of their ideas was looking at focusing on that sort of after school timeframe for youth. We've had youth drop-in time for the field house fairly traditionally in the after school hours at Centennial Place. Some of the older kids come and utilize that time. It's, often someone's in shooting hoops, that sort of thing. But not so much the younger kids. There hasn't been as much uptake of that. And so they wanted to look at, could we run more of an after school program? The town has had many iterations of that over the time frame, the last 20 years, I guess, probably, of different versions of that. As far as at one point we were licensed childcare, I think in reviewing it, we thought recreation is kind of where we wanted to stick with this sort of programming. So we looked at kind of expanding youth drop-in for at Centennial Place. Obviously, this isn't something we had budgeted going into this year. So we're kind of looking at a low-cost pilot project for September through December, and then looking at, depending on uptake and what we think, if that's something we'll bring back for budget for council in fall. For 2026. So we're looking at on school days starting in September, so not this week, but starting next week, from 3:30 to 5:30 with early Tuesday hours as appropriate, to have one additional staff member. So one member of the Centennial Place staff team be booked for kind of a short shift there from like a 3:30 to 6. The program's gonna be 3:30 to 5:30, but a little bit of cleanup time and prep for the next day, so that we can kind of have a low budget pilot there of that staff. Cost is really the crux of what the cost will be. The rest will be utilizing materials and equipment that are already at Centennial Place. The idea is to utilize what was formerly the play school room as a space to have sort of quiet space, homework, bring your own snack, a spot you could sit, read, play a game quietly, those sorts of things. And then again, that field house access where the staff member will have a game of the day of whatever the activity is. Yes, Sandra?
Will that interfere in any after-school programs the library has or complement?
So we're hoping to complement. We have had some conversations with them about some of their out of school days and some of that stuff. So we're hoping to work with both the library and the Family Resource Network. They're great partners that run programming, and there's no sense of us dividing up kids and having low turnout across the board. So we are in contact with them on the programs. So yeah, the idea is to kind of have just that safe space where there's gonna be some supervision, not necessarily overly programmed, but a spot where your kids could go after school until those evening extracurriculars pick up. So we could see lots of families if you have dance or hockey or something like that, that's at our rec complexes, that if the kids come after school and can go straight to those activities, that's great. Or until parents can pick them up, or until they're allowed to go home because someone will be home, that sort of thing. So it's a little bit of a pilot project. We'll see what uptake is like there. In discussing PD days and those sorts of full day programs, we looked at it in the past. The town has had everything from full day, drop off at 7:30, pick up at 6 p.m., more childcare style, to at one point then we had the boredom busters that were kind of where we were at pre-COVID, where it was shorter, couple hour programs, again, recreation focused, not replacing full-time childcare. I think we're leaning towards that recreation focused shorter stints. And so this is where we've talked with Family Resource Network and the library about what they're already scheduling for their PD days. Lots of times we partner with both those organizations. The library, of course, has their own space they can do certain activities in. Other activities, they've come over and partnered at Centennial Place just to utilize the field house or something like that with more space. And FRN is always looking for the space. So our FCSS dollars always partner gift in kind of facilities with them anyway. So we don't want to wall those groups out. We want them to keep running those programs and having those things. And so we would look at doing PD days kind of on a fill-in basis once we see what they're offering, but not necessarily looking to have something every single day. So, you know, the week off in November is a great example. If FRN's doing a day of something and the library's doing a day of something, maybe we don't need to. We are going to kind of judge that once we see their final schedules for the year. So we've been in touch with their staff and they're kind of working on getting their schedules for fall worked out. So they're going to share that once they have it and we can decide.
Michelle, is there any cost to our public?
Yes, so we're gonna go with using our regular Centennial Place fees. So those would be the fees that you guys would have approved from Community Services Board's recommendations. So the youth drop-in fee is $3 a day. So they can pay that drop-in fee. We also have the option of buying the punch passes, which gives you 12 admissions for the price of 10, $30. You'd get your 12 punches. Or our bronze youth annual pass for $240 would also cover this. It is going to be drop-in, so there'll be no pre-registration for the after-school hours. So you just, if your kid is already paid up, either they can bring their $3 to pay drop-in, or if they already have a punch pass or an annual pass set up, they're just checking at the office to get checked off, much like they would when they go to the swimming pool, right? To just come in and sign in, make sure that they are paid up or had their punch pass punched, and then they're able to go with the program. Same thing, they're able to leave at will, very similar to coming and going from public swim is kind of the example we've been using. So there is, you know, adult or high school staffer there watching things, but we're not necessarily accounting for that Johnny's arrived today and we knew he was coming and all of those things. So yeah, we're really keeping it at a drop-in level. I said, I think the swimming pool is the one we're probably all most familiar with, to think about it like public swim. There's somebody here to keep you safe while you're here with us, but we're not in charge of your comings and goings and signing you in and out and all of those things. There was discussion on if, you know, a crosstown bus stop would be useful to get kids over to the building. We did have that discussion with Prairie Land and they're not able to accommodate that request at this time. Just concerns for them on the length of time for the bus ride for the students. You know, their crosstown bus isn't just the crosstown bus, it's somebody's out of town route as well. And so just adding that extra time frame wasn't something that they could accommodate at this time. So it would be on their own power for kids to get to and from the program themselves. So I mean, it's a reasonably short walk to JC Sherrick, so hopefully that will work for most. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at for now. The other, I guess, looming question when you talk after school programming is the possibility of a teacher strike. And we've kind of said we're going to leave that be. No sense trying to predict the future. I think we would approach it similarly to the PD days, where we're not looking to be a replacement full-time childcare. Perhaps if a strike happened and was prolonged, we would look at all of our facilities for rec opportunities, whether that is something like, you know, extra shinny hockey if the ice happened to be in, or extra field house time at Centennial Places, we could accommodate it. So we'll look at those if and when we get there, but no massive plans to reorganize the world and have full day programming or anything. Yes.
Ages.
Open for all students. So kindergarten to grade 12, anybody who wants to come use the drop-in space is welcome to.
Kelsey Cole. Sing that yours.
Perfect.
Stole your thunder.
Sorry, didn't mean to do that for.
Any other questions? possibility, I suppose. Usually the local loop hours wouldn't be applicable to school time, so I'm not sure that that would be something that could happen. Could we look at contracting private busing service to and from? I suppose we could. That'd be at council's direction moving forward if that's something we want to take on and have that added expense of that being a privately funded piece to get the kids from A to B. So something we could consider for a future budget if you guys wanted to.
Councilor Kroll?
I do the local.
But I know this, Fred.
So, on Wednesday, we could extend it, whatever.
Yeah, then you'd have that 1 day service would
Yeah.
technically currently be available if we wanted to make it so. I don't know if that is more or less confusing for families, if it's only available the 1 day to get transportation, or if it's easier to have your kids have the plan of you walk here every day. So it's something we could talk more about and explore if it's a good fit. I think most of the time, short of the -40 weather, hopefully the 2 block walk should be manageable for most students, but. Mr. Mayor, do you want to take more questions from?
Like, well, we can for if a child's walking in the times, like.
That's hopefully.
There's, I was just doing.
Sorry, I can't hear what's being said.
She's asking about whether we would supply necessary clothing. If a kid shows up without winter boots and a winter coat and.
I think the school's fairly well connected to help with the parents with that. I know the food bank always has their coat closet type situation. Thrift store has that sort of stuff. So I think there's good resources in community for people to get connected with if there was a concern that families don't have those sorts of things. So definitely supports that do exist. Any other questions from council or any direction of how you'd like to see that go for, or what information you'd like to come back if it is something we have a budget ask for next year?
Councilor Bowden?
So how long did you figure this with this pilot project?
We're sort of looking at that September to December timeframe, get an idea of uptake. It'll probably be slow to start, and then we'll get in the rhythm as the after school activities start and families figure out their schedules.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys will be going into budget discussions in the fall.
Right.
So then we're hoping we'd have some numbers by then, be able to look at costs and what we're recovering through the fee. Obviously, it's not a huge amount of money we're going to recover through those drop-in fees, and kind of be able to come back with a better idea of what ongoing costs of the program would be. And if there's opportunity to change it, if we want to grow it and make it more programmed, obviously then there's going to be cost to materials for crafts and maybe some more staff time and things like that. Or if we really like the drop-in, keep it simple, here's the field house stuff we have, that sort of thing, and use the resources. Epic has some stuff that can be used in the quiet room, for games and those sorts of things. So there'll kind of be some options to look at, I think, when we come
Yeah, I
back.
guess that was what I was looking at, is you'll come back with some sort of report and numbers.
Yes.
And, I would like to, in my opinion, I won't be on council next term. And so, I would like to see using the funds available, in order to try a pilot project, versus, increasing it until, one way or the other, whether it's going to be, successful or of interest. And so.
Yeah, I think our only real projected cost for this test time frame is that extra staff time,
Yeah.
right? There'll be a little bit of extra Centennial Place staff expense there to have those high school students come in for that evening shift. So that'll be the bulk of what we'll plan to spend. Doing the bring your own snack and that sort of thing keeps it pretty low cost on the actual implementation of day-to-day programs. So
Thank you.
Councilor Farrell?
Yeah, one question, are you sending anything out to the parents, to ask them what they would like to see and the kids?
yeah, we're gonna start some advertising that we're offering this, and I think once we start to get people in, we can start to have those conversations. So it went out, if you got your e-news yesterday afternoon, you got a sneak peek, because it went out on that, and it is in the flyer that Lori and Katie's team put together, so that'll be hitting mailboxes. And then in contact with the school, we're also going to ask that they push it out in their e-news that they do with their parent groups, because that's obviously our most target audience, so they'll have the best in there. So we'll get that out for that sort of initial uptake, and then I think we can have those conversations of, is the timing right? Is the cost right? Those sorts of things.
Excuse me, Michelle, has there been any reach out to PLRD and their support? Because some of this stuff is supporting, their PD days, their, those timeframes that they've allocated within the school year. So I'm just wondering if there's
The
been.
busing was the only real conversation we've had to date there with them on that. So definitely a possibility if there's opportunity for further partnership that they see there. We're definitely open to having that discussion. But yeah, we're hopeful that it'll be a good complement to the things that they have going on.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I actually.
Okay,
It's like, it's really about the, and in fact, about your town. There is a street on, very. Also, there's another thing, those who study. Building. And the street. There's, it's leaving, thanks to the winter, so that they can travel back and forth.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't realize that we had outside.
Are we doing public presentation?
so just,
There's a gentleman that has a shopping cart that goes.
yeah, well, this isn't really the format for. Yeah, we had a public presentation section and of course they weren't here for it, so.
Oh,
No, she was here.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that would have been the time to bring that up, so if we could talk after, if that works for you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Michelle, sounds exciting,
Let me know if you guys hear feedback or have questions midstream. You all know where to find me, so
Thank you, Michelle.
thank you.
okay, motion to accept Michelle's presentation for information, Council Golden, all in favor? Carried. CEO Matthew.
Yeah, most of my report got put into business because I didn't think we were gonna get any delegations today, so I broke it out to business. So before we get to that, I can give you a brief update on the road construction. As you know, you can see that that started. Our biggest issue was the replacement of the bridge, and we had to delay that because of migratory birds. We had to wait till that was done. So it's pushing back some of the completion dates for Pioneer. They think it might be mid to late November before they finish that, which also the question now is whether they can pave that road in that time of year, if it's good time. So they're trying to figure out a plan on how to do that. They don't want to leave it gravel over the winter. They maybe put like a base coating down and leave the rest till the springtime. So that was the last meeting we had. So hopefully before next week, when we meet again, there'll be a proper plan. And then at our next council meeting, our proper council meeting, we'll be bringing the proposal for the bridge and just to get council's approval, formal approval. We had discussed that over email, but we just need the formal approval on having Brooks do the bridge for us. So yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I have besides how I broke everything else down into business items.
So will there be an extra cost with them having to mobilize again in the spring to do paving?
We discussed that too, and it was a yes and a no. So I'm hoping by next week the engineers and Brooks have got together and come up with a proper plan. They're hoping that weather could stay good and, but then they said, well, weather might change. So it's up in the air right now. So hopefully next week when the engineers and then Brooks have that chance to talk, we can have a proper plan of what to do.
Council Murphy?
This is not, if it's migratory, it's yearly. How do they not know that in advance when they make the quotes?
Yeah.
That this period of time, the birds are flying and we can't be near them. I'm really stunned by this.
And that's exactly what Brent said to him yesterday when we met. Brent was not happy that they didn't take this into account, that they should know this well in advance, and this should have been started a lot sooner in the year.
Yeah.
If they had done it in the spring, we would have missed that thing. So, it was brought up and discussed, and our unhappiness with that situation was expressed.
So is that on MPE or?
Yeah.
Well, depending on the location. Like you don't have all kinds of pods of migratory birds. I mean, obviously they should have maybe
They would have
said
known
the
that.
area, but.
Yeah, I think they were, I don't know.
Until you look at construction, start looking at permits, you're not gonna have conversations with
Yes.
ducks or whatever environment.
Exactly.
Bodies, yeah. We'll get stuck with the bill no matter what happens.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
And then most likely we'll have Brooks back in patching and. From what I work, so I mean, it's probably not as big of an issue as it could be had we not used Brooks for a lot of other things, so. Any other questions of Matthew? Because it looks like we're gonna get into some of them here in a minute, so. Okay, motion to accept Matthew's report is presented. Counselor Thorough, all in favor? Carried. On to business items, new bylaw officer.
Yeah, so to council, we have a new bylaw officer. She started on Monday. Her name is Sky. So she's just been getting to know things over the last few days, get introduced to people and drive around the town and meet people. So I brought her here today and I thought that it would be a good chance for you to meet her. And if you have any key areas that you would like her to look into and we could make sure that she's following through on those things. So what's this guy? If you want to, you can probably sit at the second deal.
You don't give her that off.
So she has I think it was a criminology degree and,
Yeah, Bachelor of Criminal Justice.
okay. And she's been working for 2 seasons with Drumheller in bylaw.
We're better to work for than Drum, for sure.
So I told her that some of the things is like the unsightly properties, she was updated regarding the dogs as well, so. There's any other key,
Parking and so on and so forth. I mean, that's, it's small town, but it's small, it's the same thing, just different.
And we will make sure that she's protected from harassment of residents. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was a key issue.
yeah, we,
Their previous bylaw
Yeah.
enforced that.
yeah, she's already been told that like myself or Brand or whoever, like, will be there for backup if he needs it.
Zero tolerance to people harassing you and threatening you. It's not, we're all on your sides.
And so, excuse me,
Council Bowden.
sorry. So will there be, if there's issues or concerns about it, previously, difficult, resident, will there be somebody to go with her? To
Definitely.
do that in
definitely.
advance,
Yeah.
and will that be staff or will that be?
It'll be staff,
RCMP.
it'll probably be, well, depending on how bad it is, if we need to take RCMP, but Brent has done the role in the past. Brent has said he's willing to go. I'm willing to go with Sky, so.
I get what I was gonna wear, staff.
Council Warwick.
Question
Council Warwick.
in regards to the process. It's my understanding that when we educate well, we disseminate some of the aggression and you know, the confrontation that you may have to deal with. Are we educating our public well enough and informing them well enough prior to, you know, having the bylaw officer step in and do the job? I mean, she may have to present some paperwork or whatever prior to that happening, because I know in the past it seemed that when we did the proper paperwork, educated our public properly, it seemed to disseminate some of the aggression that went on. So I'm wondering if those processes are in place. Or we're just going in, okay, now you parked your trailer for too long, you got 15 minutes to remove it. And other than, you know, and a lot of people know the laws, we sometimes forget, they park or whatever. But, you know, just reinforcing those laws through proper process and procedure before sending our bylaw officer in.
And I think the biggest change is gonna be when we bring back that traffic bylaw, so she's gonna review that Chelsea had worked on. So there's gonna be some significant changes to that, so we will have to make sure that we educate people on that, and I believe we've also had some stuff on our Facebook page recently.
I can speak
Yeah.
to that if
Yep, but
that's okay, your worship. I try to work very cooperatively with anyone doing that position, well, any of the positions. In them providing that direction and that guidance as to what they will be working on, so that we're providing the right pieces of education in a timely manner. So in the past, we have had it where we've had it even to the point, and it doesn't always work this way, where get your yard cleaned up, by law enforcement's gonna be doing a circle of the town, but it really comes down to how that particular individual wants or chooses to do their job. And you can't always predict that based on workload, work schedule and weather. So it's kind of subjective. That would be a perfect world. But not everybody, so that's to operate that way.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you, Lori. I just,
Do we have a job description, I guess, kind of thing, for the bylaw?
Yeah, it's the job description that was advertised, so, yeah.
We we don't need somebody who's gonna come in here and be a bull.
No, and we had that discussion with Sky right at the beginning and, you know, that was to get compliance, you know, and that goes through the education part as well, and just to let people know. But you know, like I've seen some communities where they put up stuff about jaywalking. I don't think we wanna go after people for jaywalking, but we do want neat tidy yard.
Ultimately, Sky has a job to do. So it's a hard job. It's no different than when Sergeant Wellsman did a blitz in town here a couple of years ago with seatbelts. The amount of pushback we got because people got a seatbelt ticket was, I had 3 or 4 people come to the shop going, I got a seatbelt ticket. Were you wearing your seatbelt? Well, no. Then that's why you got the ticket. And Sky and I had a brief conversation yesterday. It was more, and I think I stressed the education versus the strong-handedness, and she smiled, and nodded her head. So I have a great deal of confidence that she understands what we're looking for. So unfortunately, there will come a point in time where there will have to be enforcement if someone doesn't comply. Council Bolden?
Chelsea, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'd like to thank you for the work that you did do while you were here. And I think that you've gone through a lot of the bylaw office, the bylaws and improved them substantially. And I'd just like to thank you for doing that. So I do greatly appreciate it. And will there be an opportunity for Chelsea to share some of that with?
We have moved Chelsea into the casual position.
Mhm.
So, and she has agreed in this transition to help Sky. So I think it's good to, like, it doesn't hurt us to have somebody as casual. They're not guaranteed any hours, but if we need some help or assistance, that she can offer that.
So Chelsea, are you staying in the community then, or are you?
So I am living in Calgary, but I've already chatted with Sky and said, you know, if you want any help, I am more than willing to come back. A large reason I stepped out of the role is just I struggle to come back and forth every week.
Yeah.
And so the life I have in Calgary, I loved it enough that I did decide I didn't want to stay here full time.
Mhm.
But I'm more than willing to always come back and help out Sky. And like I've given her my phone number if there's any issues or like previous files that she needs, and I'm always more than willing to help. And with me being a casual role, like improving the bylaws, I kind of still have a plan to rewrite them while she's dealing more with because I've been gone for a little while. You can see there are some properties that have kind of been let go, so while she's getting those cleaned up, I can still work in the background and still get those bylaws cleaned up, because majority of our bylaws, the newest ones are like 2008, 2009, so.
I need to be updated.
Well, thank you, Chelsea, for that. I appreciate your contribution.
And also, I was wondering if there are any residents that are of a concern for the city RCMP are aware of, that will be passed on to any of the staff, just as a proactive scenario for extra caution and safety. Is that a concern? I have no idea. It's just, you hear more and more about people in positions, maybe being attacked or whatever, just for the safekeeping of staff that will be going to their residence in any situation.
I don't believe we have anything as far as dangerous offenders registered here in town.
Yeah, or whatever, or ones of concern that the RCMP would be aware of.
Sky's gonna meet with Rob after this meeting, so they can keep that line of communication going and build that relationship.
Okay,
Well, welcome.
thank you.
So, Sky, questions?
Not as of right now.
Come on. Council Kroll, sorry.
So is Sky, are you working just for the town of Hannah, or are you being shared, or?
Yeah, I believe Ian is taking it to their next council meeting. I think they've had a break as well, so it's scheduled to go on their next council meeting. They were sent a proposal contract agreement between Town of Cannon and Town of Ion. So I said, you know, if there's any issues in that contract, we want to edit them, so they didn't get back to me, so it should be on their next agenda, which is in September. And I believe Delia are keen on it, they just, I think they just need to figure out their budget, but if, for Delia, it would probably be like a couple hours a week. You know, it wouldn't be that, it would fine, would be the full day.
That work would all still be done through the town of Hannibal. That's a question for Council Cole.
Yeah, they would contract with us.
And so Sky, you're gonna be located in Hannah then? This is gonna be your primary location?
Yes.
May I see that? Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I think she'll have a lot of people chasing her for.
I think it'll be great because the car will be more visible,
Yeah.
and she'll be seen more, so just that visual will be good.
City yesterday. The biggest thing is I find, and we've all experienced that people have complaints about bylaw, and I strongly urge everyone to refer them to the online request, and that way there's documentation and there's no what's the word I want to use, misinformation. So that's the process we have in place, and unless Sky and Matthew come up with something different that works better for them, will be the online complaint form, so. Okay, two things. First of all, from council, Chels, thank you. Sorry it didn't work out, but it was good. The lot of work, good work while you were here. And second of all, motion to welcome Sky to the town of Hannah's bylaw enforcement. Motion, Council Murphy, all in favor? Welcome aboard, girl.
You're welcome.
Animal control.
Okay, so the council, you know, it's been an issue for many months, the dogs, so I wrote this up, I didn't know what was gonna happen on Monday, so I thought I would make sure that I give you an update today on what happened. On Monday, 4 of the dogs were taken to the vets and they were put down. And then Public Works took those dogs to the cemetery and they were buried there. There are 2 more that are scheduled to be put down on Tuesday next week. So hopefully that alleviates the issues that we've had at that property, and we can move forward positively going forward. It would leave us still with 2 dogs after that.
Are they fixed?
No, they're a male and a female.
Absolutely not. We can't. She's not gonna pay the bill for this. So.
Sure,
yes.
that's right.
Hopefully
Good
no
for
more.
This is a council meeting. No, public meeting.
I want to say I had the opportunity to work next door and I really felt compassionate for the neighbors. Like it was scary for us to be on site working. They dug under the fence. Their heads were coming through under the fence. They have young children there and they had to draw boundaries certain times a day without those children going within a certain proximity of the fence. I did video some of those dogs bark for 2.5 hours straight. I can understand where the public is just had enough. You know, there is rules and laws, and when people don't adhere to them, it's just, and thank you for the work you've done, Matthew. I know you've done a lot and this hasn't been easy when you're dealing, you know, with so many dogs and so many unruly dogs. It's just such a sad situation,
Yeah.
but
I don't think anybody wanted, like, it's been tough for, like, for us, for admin, it was tough with Public Works, because they don't really want to do that. I spoke to the vet, she said it was very difficult, the dogs were very difficult, and she said there's no way those dogs could have been rehomed for the behavior that they had. So for the vet, it was difficult to do this and to have to do it again. So it's definitely not been easy on anybody who's been involved with this, for the guys who had to go and pick them up and bury them as well.
Council Bowden.
Well, no, they still do not have dog licenses, correct?
I
She will not have for those 2.
don't think she does have dog licenses.
And And as far as I'm concerned, she shouldn't be allowed to keep them for that very reason. You know, either she has a dog license or they're destroyed the same as the others.
She did ask the vet about getting on vets, but the surgeon who does that is away on vacation, so there is time issue.
Well, and if she can't afford to pay the license fee or chooses not to,
Yeah,
how can she afford to pay the fixing fee?
I have spoken with her extensively from it before. She has mentioned to me that she is willing to pay the licensing fee. Once everything I kind of settle with, willing to keep the two dogs. I mean, I understand council's thing where she shouldn't have any dogs, but unfortunately, that's something the town can't regulate. We can't go in and say you're not allowed to have any dogs. That's not something that bylaw is able to say. Our bylaw states that you can have up to 3 dogs. And unfortunately, there's nothing in our bylaws that say if you meet these criteria, you can't have a dog, so. You know, it's kind of difficult to see where it's at, but I know she has, like, she's been very cooperative working with us. She has been willing, like, even willing to put the dogs down, you know, it's a hard decision, but she's willing to work with the town. And I know that some people have stated like, oh, she has all these dogs, she's not very like helpful and great, but working with her, like, she's always been very helpful and very willing to work with the town. I think it's just a situation that got out of hand so quickly that it wasn't dealt with when it started, and then it got to the point where I came in and she had so many that, you know, trying to find places to rehome, it didn't work out. So I know she was still willing to see how much it cost to get fixed, and obviously with the surgeon away, they can't speak to that, but I know the vet was willing to try and help out because they don't want the same situation as well, so.
That female may already be bred.
Yeah,
And so then are we not dealing with the same situation or? I guess the time or two. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Bro,
Is there such a thing as like a breeder's license or something? Like, would she have to have a?
we had one in the previous animal control bylaw. However, when it was rewritten, it was taken out. So we have no special license for someone who wants more than 3 dogs. That's just how the bylaw was rewritten, and it's kind of a max of 3 dogs. There's no room to really give a license.
So how long can you keep a litter of pups?
It is
Before-
specified specifically in the bylaw how. I think it's under 6 months, you can still have the puppies, but once they hit about 6 months, you have to either have them registered with us or get rid of them, or there's a specific timeline in the bylaw, I would have to look at it. So like if someone does have a litter of puppies, they still have that timeline, like you don't have to be like, oh, I really gotta get rid of them, they're still able to, you know, have a relationship with their mother and nurse and stuff like that. Once it hits about, I think it's around 6 months that they need to start looking at getting rid of them.
Well, yeah, because you could have a litter of 6, you know, we're up to 6 or whatever,
Yeah,
maybe more, but.
Yeah, so it does say in the bylaw about litters of puppies and, you know, the timeline to be able to get rid of them, so it's not an immediate like, oh, you suddenly have too many, we're immediately giving you a ticket, it's more of a, once they grow in age, that's a dog that we're now looking to license.
I think most dogs, pups, like 2 months, they pretty well leave the mother.
Yeah, exactly, so I think if I remember correctly, it's about 6 months that we start looking at getting dog licenses and counting those towards the household number of pets.
Thank you.
any more information? Also, McPhee?
The 2 that are left, not only are they not fixed, which of course is scary as heck. But the behavior of the dogs that had to be put down were created because of these 2 dogs. So my concern is, again, bylaw exists that these dogs bark incessantly, and I know they do because I sold a home right next door. And holy cow, talk about terrifying. I don't know how you did it, working that close to them, because they were terrifying. The sound of them is terrifying. So we have to continue to enforce that those two dogs cannot bark day and night, and encourage the neighbors to continually file written complaints so that we can.
Yeah.
But what if she was not fined?
She was fine.
Okay, and will continue to be fined if the behavior continues with the two that are left, correct?
Right now she has 4, but 2 will be put down next week, the 2 young ones. It's the male and female, the older ones that she plans on keeping. So I think we just have to, like I said, like, we have to hear from the residents. If it still continues to be an issue, it might not be as bad. We just, I don't know, but it's just something we're gonna have to monitor, and that's part of the benefits now that we have a full-time bylaw officer, that they can be given more attention than, you know, contracted part-time here, so
I know that she has mentioned to me that. And from my understanding, the barking was the dogs that were outside. So I'm not sure if they're contributing to it, but I know a large amount of the barking was the pack of dogs that were outside.
So next Wednesday, we'll know for sure.
yeah. Do some yard work by.
I'm concerned, but yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'd love to say cats, but I don't. Motion to accept, animal control and report information. Counselor Farrell, all in favor? Gary. Minister of Municipal Affairs.
So this is kind of like when I went to university, they said, look to the left of you, look to the right of you. Some of you won't be here when we finish those. Some of you might not be here for this convention. But there is an opportunity to meet the new Minister of Municipal Affairs at the fall convention, the union's fall convention. So they asked us if we want to complete a form and identify 3 relevant questions for the minister's portfolio, and we would get roughly 15 minutes. So if council has some ideas of questions that they would like brought forward to the minister, we can fill in that form and submit it. If you don't have any today, you could probably email me and we could get some questions lined up for that.
I'm assuming you book 7 spots automatically at the AGM or the other meetings, and then cancel as necessary.
Yeah, well, it hasn't opened yet. I don't think, we haven't got an email. We keep checking, waiting for the registration, but as soon as that opens up, we will register 7. What is that?
It is my opinion that whenever we have an opportunity to speak with the minister, we do speak with the minister. So I think it's up to maybe not this council, but if this council has ideas to forward, we could forward some ideas. But in the very short coming days after the election, the council of the day will have to decide on some questions to present to the minister and
I
have
think
some
they want these
conversation.
well before
They
they
want the questions now.
Yeah, I think concerns we have now, we same concerns, get it submitted now. and-
September 12th is when they want these.
Oh, I'll see, okay, really shortly. Okay, wow, that changes that.
I agree,
So-
though, if you have an opportunity to sit in front of a ministry, you should take advantage. So I think it's basically that, I hate to say it, but it's a very cookie cutter. I mean, we're all in the same boat. We need more funding for infrastructure. We need more funding for recreation. We need more money. We need more money. And I think, and again, unless we can be specific with some things, I think the infrastructure thing is probably the most prevalent for our community, in my opinion. But yeah, I think, like you said, Councilor, if we look in front of them, I think that's something we need to do.
I just want to confirm, I think once in the 4 years, we've had an opportunity, is that correct, or have we been there twice?
Municipal, or municipal.
Municipal affairs
But
and,
Mr. Twice with municipal affairs and Mr. Neal and I met with the bridge infrastructure people once.
okay, so it's different, but we had one
There was no
opportunity.
minister there, for that, so.
So usually sometimes in a term, you might get one opportunity. So
Yeah,
I
you
think
can
the
apply,
other-
there's no guarantee we're going to get.
That is correct, yeah, depending on, and
Right.
it always based, to me, it always comes down to funding. So I mean, we can have some, really specific funding objectives or whatever that we think are necessary, but I think.
Gotcha.
So I'll send an email out to council, so there's a thread, and if you have
Yes.
questions before the 12th. We'll get those submitted.
Motion to meet with the Honorable Dan, or motion to have the opportunity to meet with Dan Williams, Minister of Municipal Affairs at 2025 Alberta Munis Fall Convention. We discuss some topics of discussion. Motion, Councilor Olson, all in favor? Carried. Boyd.
So this is just an update, and recently we just redid our FIPE bylaw and policies and forms. But then shortly after that, the government went and got rid of FIPE and replaced it with two other things, so. Yeah, so we need to adjust our FIPE policies, and we'll bring that to the next council meeting. So this is just an update of why we're gonna do it after we just recently did it, to make some of the changes. So some of the things that they changed, I made notes, it means like they reinforce the requirements of public bodies, alpha applicants clearly frame their requests for up to locate records, so we have to help them make sure that we do that. There's a new penalty of up to $50,000 for knowingly violating access provisions or destroying records. We must implement a privacy management program, but that has to start in 2026. We have to, there's a mandatory breach of notification, so we have to let people know if there's like a data leak or something like that. The residents will have a right to request corrections. So if there's any errors in the information that we have, they have a right to request that that's changed. We're prohibited from selling data. If there's any automated decision making, we have to let that know. So if it can be AI or something else to automatically decide things, and even though we use AI, we wouldn't use it for that, but we have to let people know. Data sharing rules are in there. So yeah, so it's just, they've changed it into two parts, so we just have to make sure that we adjust our FIPE that we did recently is adjusted to match that, and then by 2026, we have to have that other program in place. So that will be brought back to the next council meeting.
We could probably release Sky. You don't have to sit here or in this room if you want. It's up to you. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying you don't have to. It's great if you do, but.
Very nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thanks all. So motion to, Council Cole, sorry.
No.
Oh. Motion to accept the PAPA for information. Council Colson, all in favor? Carried. Peace.
So I've been sending out the emails as this has been happening, so I just wanted to review to make sure everybody's on the same page as far as where we're at with PACE. So we need to agree with the payment plan with PACE to pay our legal costs, and they did pay the first 25,000 of that straight away. But what they have also done, PACE has also contested the amount awarded, so they're saying that, you know, they shouldn't have to pay so much in our legal costs. So Brownlee replied to that and said there's no grounds to dispute that under AUC had awarded those costs. So it's gone back to AUC, and I talked to Brownlee about that. They said there's like, it'll take roughly 30 days to AUC to get back to us and let us know if that's going to change. So that's where we're at right now. They said it'd be roughly by the end of September before AUC gets back to us and lets us know if they're going to stick to that initial judgment. They don't think there's any grounds to change that. So we will see how that plays out. So other than that, they will stick to the payment plan, and that's to pay it all back by the end of this year. No.
So are we incurring more legal costs?
Yes, we are. The more that Bradley does, yeah, the more that Bradley does for us, the more that we keep getting billed by them, so, yes.
Appears to be a delaying tactic as well to, yeah, I think that's a common thing for companies to do is to, we're gonna ding you and we're gonna get you back or
Yeah.
something.
They probably see it as a, like from Pace's side, of due diligence. If they can save a little bit, they're gonna file that every single time.
Yeah.
Significant.
But they're also incurring the legal fees as well by doing so, so.
Yeah.
Shoot themselves in the feet. Gratitude.
Do we have a roundabout guesstimate amount, how much we paid the legal fees?
Do you remember what it was? Was it?
232. Plus whatever we've incurred in this last little bit.
Yeah, so we'll keep adding to.
They've really done a good job, I would say. They did good work.
Yeah.
Something like share cost loan?
No, I'm just thinking, it's something that would be kind of, I think we got our money's worth. If we have to pay a legal entity, it's nice to see the results and stuff, so.
Right,
Yeah.
I agree.
Recommended motion council provide with the update of current efforts to recover the cost from Pace. County Development LP and the Alberta Utilities Commission, this AUC's decision motion. For thorough, all in favor? Carried. Council roundtable. Anything? Council vote?
Oh, so. Well, I'm not sure if this is roundtable. I was approached last night about from the some committee members from the rodeo. And they were asking if there was a possibility of a discount on some of their fees for staff and equipment. And what they have given me was just an indication of the number of people that they'll be bringing to the community. They've added a ranch scramble and branch match, 12 teams of 4 participants each, which then will be about 48 individuals, and supporting family members and stuff. The rodeo team consisting of 6 members would also be coming to the community, as well as 2, 4, 6, 8 staff people, 18 bronc riders, 20 accompanying family members, and the audience of about 500 to 700 individuals on the Thursday, which is an additional day. September 12th, the trade show with about 28 vendors expected, and perhaps 56 participants. They're doing a dummy roping, and sorry, I won't be the ropee. 20 dummy ropers, 60 family members are projected. Shoppers turnout is expected to be about 400 people. So the total attendance for the trade show is forecasted to be about 536 people, which I believe is going to be within the curling rink. The performances themselves, the competitors stand at 270 people, contractors and ground crew numbering 30, committee members and volunteers comprising of about 50 people. Audience figures projected to be at 800 per session across 2 sessions, totaling 1,600 attendees. So estimated attendance for the rodeo, 1,950 people. And they are suggesting that assuming each attendee contributes a minimum expenditure of $80 while in Hannah, the projected total economic impact for the town is approximately 266,000 and change, covering expenses such as meals, fuel, lodging, and other related costs. And they are just indicating that these are, of course, projections. And so have been working really hard to get things together. And I believe what they had indicated their bill may be around $10,000. for that weekend. And they were just wondering if, council would be interested in helping them by discounting some of the fees. I believe they're already getting $3,705 in discounts, and of a total of 10,931. They were asking, I believe that might be for the facilities themselves, I'm not sure. So that's why they were asking for, if there could possibly be a discount on staff and equipment that is being, they're paying for as well. So just thought I'd bring that forward. It is one of the bigger events in our community, and never hurts to ask.
They'd have to come to council, or is that?
They've been advised
They've been
already.
told that.
Yeah, I
Five or
know, I
six
realize
times.
that, and they were told that, and people had not, gotten their stuff together, so this was one last ditch effort I thought I would bring forward, and then, of course, their rodeo is the week of the council meeting, and, at that point, it's too late. So, I said I would bring it forward, and so I am doing that. I also have kind of something that I'd like to see installed, and whether or not it is self-serving, I'm not sure. But in 2019, I'd asked, we had just gone and had a retreat, and I had asked the council of the day if they'd be interested in adopting trees that would help kind of show a sign of a new time, and maybe that things are changing or whatever. And I did put a challenge out to the council asking if they would be interested in adopting a tree so that we would be able to put it on Palliser Trail. And I actually got a rude comment back, saying, you know, don't count on me, and that sort of thing, which is fine, but, as a result, I, took it upon myself to proceed with that and ended up adopting 5 trees. Canalta adopted 2 trees, the town adopted a tree, and, friends of ours also adopted a tree. So those 9 trees that are planted out there, is the result of an initiative that I did. And the idea was to have it kind of a memorial, lane or something, or people that then could designate something for each tree along that area. I did work with Director Snell and had quite a battle to try and get them planted before the rodeo of that year, and did contact Canalta about being able to utilize their property and got that permission. So I would like to have something that does acknowledge that has been, that initiative was placed, not necessarily with my name associated with it, but it was a council effort, a councilor effort. But whether it's anonymous or not, the people that did submit for that as well, it would be nice for them to still be able to say in memory of so-and-so, or in memory of the pioneers in this area that helped develop our community. And so all I was asking after this long story is that there be a marker or a sign that does indicate this was an Adopt a Tree initiative, to start beautification along that west side of town. And I was just bringing that forward and asking if council would think about it, if there could be a sign, perhaps with the bench that is there, just to acknowledge that it is was meant to be a memorial thing. It may also then generate interest for others wanting to adopt a tree within our community and carry on that. I believe that was a Communities in Bloom initiative.
I'm sorry, I just for clarification, so are those the trees that were just recently planted along the walkway there? Is that the
Yes,
ones?
they were there on the walkway, yeah, in
But are-
1919.
Oh, so that wasn't
2019.
the planting that happened this year?
No,
It happened, so there,
the trees, there's bush there behind them. but, and maybe others, private individuals might take an initiative to help and then have direction with all the trees were selected by the director at the time. And, so they're trees for this area. There's nothing to acknowledge that that was an initiative that was not, the town itself, that it was a private, basically.
I'm just trying to
initiative.
figure out the location,
Just
and I
like
don't have a
Councillor
problem with, I think it's valid that, you know what, all other initiatives receive recognition. And I think that is valid that we could, but I'm just trying to identify whereabouts those trees were
Yeah.
planted.
Between,
So-
well, just, what is that direction, is it? Just south of Palliser Trail. It's a bare lot that Canalta has where vehicles were parking there and,
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Okay.
and now there is a walkway
Okay.
along there. And,
So between Palliser Planning and Nix.
Going east and west then.
exactly,
I see. Okay,
on
thank you.
the west side.
Okay, I thought it was the, okay.
No, it's on the north-south council road.
Yeah, the line
North.
travels.
It's on the north-south.
Oh, okay.
It's along
On the west
Palliser
side
Trail
of
on the west
Palliser
hand,
Trail.
west side of Palliser Trail.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is there a financial commitment or was there a, like, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the.
Oh,
the
there's a
initial.
$200 cost to adopt a tree.
Okay,
So I invested $1,000.
Okay.
I did approach and I thought it would be a nice thing for council to, have that. And I did put it out to all council and I got replies from one. So I didn't take it upon myself to continue on with that. And, there were some others that had, adopted as well. And so 5 I adopted and 4 came from other.
okay, so when this initiative was kicked off, was there intent of acknowledgement or what? Like, I can't change what has happened, but I'd like to know more of the past, like, was there a promise of a plaque or was there,
No, there wasn't.
okay,
And there was nothing, but for those that did, I think there should be something, and maybe had it been a council thing, there would be a plaque. And because a counselor at the time, am I able to say, yeah, I'd like to do that, I put the money out, but I don't necessarily have to, I want, Canalta to get recognition.
Listed on the website. And the policy actually says that each person received a certificate. So there was recognition, it's right there.
So I'm just bringing up the policy.
Yeah.
That I believe is still
valid.
current or whatever, yeah. And Councilor Bowman is correct, it's a $200 donation. There's standards and criteria, and certain types or
Yeah.
breeds is that.
And then the town is responsible for maintaining the.
The recognition piece of the policy is that the donor can be provided with a certificate of appreciation and that the donation will be recorded on the town website. Individual plaques will not be provided. However, donors are permitted to place an approved plaque following the approval of the chief administrative officer or designate. So that's how the policy reads.
And so I'm not asking for money. I'm just asking that a plaque, and perhaps I will pay for the plaques for the individuals.
So it also appears that this section of our website has not been updated since 2021. So that's probably just changing staff, being unaware. So, I'm sure that information is recorded somewhere, or maybe there haven't been. When did you say it was?
2019 is when I
Well, that
said.
policy letter, I believe it's 2018, I couldn't see for sure.
Yeah, it was 2018.
With the copy.
So there have been some since 2021, and probably the same with the benches too, I'm presuming, because we have recognized memorial benches on the website too in the past. So this piece has been done, and the policy does state that you can acknowledge with the approval of the CAO on a plaque or something if you choose.
That would also have to go through parks because we don't want to have big gaudy.
Should we get a standardized plaque that everybody would use the same on?
Well, I guess I was just bringing it forward to see if that is a possibility, and then, you know, as being a counselor, if that is a conflict of interest, or if that is a or just one that indicates these were the individuals, and
Lori, if you go back to that policy, it does say
It says what
that,
they're,
Sandra, you could talk to our CEO, and I mean,
Yeah.
we have all kinds of recognition, we have benches, plaques, everything else. I don't see where this is a problem at all, if we wanna
As long as
recognize.
they all are the same.
Yeah,
So they're not
we
all
could just-
randomly
Yeah,
different.
I think if
Just-
you just work with Matthew and just work on the people that, I think I don't have a problem with that, recognizing
it's a
people
good
that have
idea.
contributed. I think it's actually not a good idea, it is a good idea to recognize those.
and what do you suggest as? If I am acknowledged, am I acknowledged as an individual or as a
Yeah.
counselor during
No.
the time?
Or whatever you want. I mean,
Did you
you
make
can
a
work that out.
donation?
yeah, you
You make
paid
the
the money,
donation,
you
yeah.
did it,
Yeah.
put your name on a plaque, yeah, it's all right there in the
It's not
policy.
like you did it
anybody can
for
do that.
council, I would say you're, as an individual, you're on free mission to.
I just wanted to bring forward so that people are aware and basically to get, I was not aware of that.
And thank you,
I-
thank you for doing it and your
Well,
contribution, I mean.
Well,
I
I'm not
didn't
doing
realize.
that, like well, I am and I'm not, but I'm just hoping that maybe others in the community would, and that those that did, and I can approach them and ask them who they would like to be, if they would like to have a plaque or what, I can work with them to see what they would prefer and carry on. Okay, thank you. And that is all I have. Oh, thank God.
Council Crowell, you kind of started there, didn't you?
Well, actually, the summer's been a very busy summer for me. I've been involved with big country housing, we've had special meetings. To purchase different things and this and that. I worked with Angela on the courtyard. They were considering putting sod in, considering wood chips, they considered quite a few things. And one of the ones that they did come up with was artificial turf. It was a big expense, but it's only once in 10 to 15 years, so that's the way we went. Food bank, Willard's retired and moved away. I have taken position or the president position. Over the summer, I picked up 2 beef. Picked up 2 orders of 200 pounds of potatoes. It was out yesterday and picked up 200 pounds of potatoes.
So when you say you picked up 2 beefs, what does that mean?
Like, they get beef donated to us. and
Is this
it
a food bank?
Yes,
Oh, I see,
and it
okay.
goes to a butcher shop with the cattle will be
Oh.
home. And we use Drumheller, but Drumheller's closed down this time. So now it's been Dutchess mostly. And they have everything made into hamburger.
So just somebody at random donates beef, they take it to the butchers, and then all that meat goes to the food bank?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, they got 3 deep freezes that they keep.
it's very generous. Yeah. Wow.
There was, I think there was 700 pounds of hamburger. I think,
Wow.
It's just local ranchers or. It's
Fabulous.
4-H, mayor donates a portion of the beef or whatever to the bank, yeah. That's Memorial Highway, been communicating with the project manager. I guess we've made a couple of key decisions. As vice chairman. Big Country Waste, we have a special committee. And we had a job description for each individual position. It's in place now, it's all done up. The local loop is going very good. We had 7 to 9 regular passengers every week. I've been treating them to ice cream. Been so hot, you know, it's up to, yeah, like, so, yeah, it's going good. I did a Dorothy run with, local loop. We took a bunch. Just regular people down to Dorothy to the museum. And it was very, very successful. We stopped on our way home at Prairie Oasis. I bought them all lunch. They're all happy and continued on. We have a East Cooley adventure planned for September 5th with the local loop. So anybody that wants to come on there, please sign up. And the doctor's clinic, we're having employee appreciation day at the Legion. And that's coming up next week. Very busy summer. Great.
Go ahead.
Can I ask one question about the local loop? When you do those trips to Dorothy and East Cooley, does that take the regular Wednesday route out of commission then?
No.
Oh. Okay,
No. We schedule that.
that's different.
And they put up a sign up sheet at the manor, the lodge, and then you can do a phone in to links. Yeah. I think we had 14 that we took to Dorothy. Hopefully, it was good, very good.
Anyone else anything to add? Councilwoman?
I just want to do an update. We had our PEP annual general meeting on June 13th. We have a new president now. It is no longer Mr. or Mayor Jones. It is Arno Dirksen from Cypress County, who was voted in. Our first president is going to be, or is, Jordan Christensen. And I'm sitting right now as second president until such a time whether I'll be at this table or not. Yeah, we have, then we have a secretary, Holly Johnson is still the secretary treasurer. And then we have a counselor from Medicine Hat, Cassie Hyder, and then a member at large, Larry Robinson. So Jay Slamp was past president. He will no longer be sitting in that position now. It will be Doug Jones that will be sitting in that as past president. So on a go forward basis, yeah, we welcomed Arno as our new president. Just so you know that the PEP is accumulates about 5,000 square miles with 22 municipalities. You see on this little map. So we're spread far and wide. I do have this 2024-25 annual report. They do this up every year. Barb Kulik, our executive director, she does all this. She's really, we're so lucky to have her. But I do have this, if anybody wants to look through it, read it, everything that's been going on in PEP over this last year. We do one annually there. I did have a question in regards to the property. And I cannot remember the avenue that it's on, but it was the house that was partially burnt down. And it has 4th Avenue. It's been boarded up. It was pointed out to me that houses on both sides are now for sale. They're wondering what the sale of those houses were gonna look like, given the property.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious at this point in time. I didn't have any answers for the individuals that asked me the questions, but where are we with this property? Are we moving forward? I understand that sole homeowner of this property has passed away.
Yeah.
And his son was taking it over.
I think from what I remember what Dave told me, he had put in a development permit to do some work on it. So, which expires soon, isn't it? I think it ends so if nothing happens, then we can do more, I guess. But yeah, Dave was waiting for that permit to expire if nothing had happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're telling our public now, I guess, when they ask, is that we're on a timeline with the development permit. When the development permit expires in the near future, then it will be up to the town once again to step in and just see what the next steps in the process.
Yeah, Dave will be on that.
Okay, thank you.
But do we have any input if it's still, so the son then would still own the property, would he not?
I don't know if it got transferred to him or.
It depends on how he had it.
The estate would set up.
I'm not sure, I haven't on the file, but I think it's still in his name, the owner's name.
Can't do, so that estate is still is settled.
Unless they've not paid their taxes.
Oh, so that could be another 3 years or so, couple years.
And I guess, sorry, can we confirm, is there, have the taxes been paid for a certain amount of time, or are they in the rears with that? Do we know?
When I would know.
Is that information you can disclose in a public
Is that,
meeting?
and yeah, is that information
We
that,
can find that information out.
thank you.
Yeah, I imagine that.
Anyone else for round table? Uncle Thurl, you're chomping.
Oh, yeah. We moved our parade that was canceled due to a little rain. To September 11th, we're given the theme this year was Hannah's Legion's 100th birthday, so that's the theme this year. And the Elks on September 13th, we're doing a pancake breakfast for the rodeo. And
It's on my calendar.
and everything, so. So
It's at 6 o'clock.
the parade, parade starts at 7.
7, okay.
Yeah, like always, we're using the old route down. All around down Main Street, so we could show off our street. How wide it is. See if we can get a big combine this year, so.
Nice.
No, it was an eventful summer, everything went well with full fair, we're 160 entries more this year, so it's pretty good. Oh, and the rummage sales on the 20th, so everybody get your stuff all lined up.
Anything to do with your committees you sit on or?
That comes under the other meeting, not today's.
Yeah, we'll do the same as we've done for 7 years.
I already set my form in.
Yeah.
And get back to me.
Our months, we did a tour of the new, well, the proposed Adderley Dam site. It's between, well, it's west of Delburn is basically where, or east of Delburn, I should say, is where it's at. If it goes ahead, it'll affect approximately 8 residents. That's why they chose it. That spot. The history behind it goes all the way back to 1906. The discussion on the Adderley Dam or a secondary dam on the Red Deer River. The banks in that spot are about 185 feet, so there'd be a very minimal amount of dirt work to be done as long as that's the site. And so that was a very interesting tour. That day we also did a tour of the Joffrey Nova Chemical site. And it is basically a self-sufficient town, for lack of a better term. They have their own fire department, they have their own ambulances, they have their own water, sewer, so on and so forth. On a Henry Kruger standpoint, we had a fairly substantial leak in the Acadia Valley area. There was multiple construction going on back in 1989, and they merged 2 pipelines together, and the connection wasn't done properly, I guess is the term I'll use. At that time, there was a 2-year warranty on the pipeline. So from 1989 to 2025, we did not bad on it. We are finding more and more small problems with our water distribution system. So far, we've been managing to keep it within the budget. So there was a request from a landowner, actually several landowners in the Paintearth County area, looking to potentially expand again. So that's in the very preliminary stages. We haven't heard anything from the Paintearth County itself, but we've heard from the landowner. So our little water treatment plant is supplying a very large area and potentially getting larger. And that's all for me.
Mr.
Councilor
Mayor,
Rowland.
so where is the Adderley Dam? Where is that located?
It's about 6 miles, well, 12 miles, if you took Joffrey and you took Delburn and drew a kind of a triangle out.
I see. Okay.
And it's the sad part of it is it's such a beautiful spot. There's one of the residents is actually on the water commission. And you know, from his house, he overlooks the river valley, and that valley will be gone if the dam goes ahead.
Big ditch.
It'll be a very big ditch. The question often comes up about, do we need it? And this year, lots of water. Not an issue. It's about water management and better control of our water, of our natural resources. So if we did have a secondary dam, and once it was filled, we'd still be releasing a large portion of the water. Right now, the federal government mandates, and I'm gonna break this down into a real easy term, we have to give Saskatchewan X amount of water to the Red Deer River. Right now, we're giving them 5X's. So by putting in the Adderley Dam, once it's full, we will still be giving them a large portion. That's like the special areas, Vine Laws, Acadia Foundation, MD, their irrigation project would take up a big portion of that, but again, would be better able to manage that water. It was funny, we had a conversation about this type of project, like be it the irrigation project or the dam project. It's a project that we will start in our lifetime and probably never see the end result of it. It's the provincial government has come up with $5 million for well, not the viability. The viability's been done. Now they're looking at the environmental concerns and issues, because there's quite a few we're finding unregistered mines, coal mines and stuff along the river. And so it's a very neat project, for lack of a better. But yeah, it's probably 20 years down the road, but we're doing the legwork on it and trying to push along. Actually, the provincial government has done a great job as far as keeping it in the forefront. Like I said, they just gave us, or not us, but they just come up with the $5 million for a viability study. So, or not environmental study. So it is moving forward and it is exciting.
Is it power dam too?
Well, that's part of the plan the problem is with the Red Deer River, there's not very much flow. So to generate, and this is all valid questions, to generate power, you need volume. And so the only way you could generate enough power to make it viable would be to dump the dam out, and then we'd have to refill it. So there's not enough flow in the Red Deer River to make a actual hydro station. So and again, very valid question, because you know we don't fully understand all of the other things. Part of the problem with water is evaporation. So the larger the surface volume, the more evaporation you lose. Like right now, the water dam we have, Henry Kruger has down by the power plant, we lose about 12.5% to evaporation of the water we pump up from the river. So the deeper, smaller surface, the better off we are with that application. So it's pretty eye-opening when you ask questions and get answers that you don't really expect. So other than that, it's been just few new businesses in town. We've been doing, actually, I haven't done one this week, but for a while there, it was a couple of weeks sort of thing, kind of exciting. Had an interesting conversation with a couple of the different realtors in town. Our housing is back to where it was pre-COVID, power plant transition, as far as market value. So that's a positive. And that's about all I got. Councilor Moe.
Do you have any information on the GFL blending site?
Information as in,
How they are doing or whether or not they are I guess I'm just wondering, I thought there was a minimum or a maximum amount that they could store. And I'm just wondering if they are exceeding that. There appears to be a huge
yeah,
amount there, and it doesn't seem to be a mixing site anymore. It's now a storage.
well, they're
site
still
as
blending.
well.
Yeah, they're
I
still
realize
blending.
they're still
Yeah.
blending, but they're also storing a huge amount.
Yeah.
And I'm
Um,
just wondering if that exceeds their contract
I've
agreement.
actually asked Todd Bolton, who's moved up in the GFL world, what the long-term plan is. He phoned me to inform me that Vicky Miller had taken a different position with the company. And, they've got a new site manager. And so I asked him, I said, so is the product moving? Are you selling product? Are you still making product? And they are still blending product, not at the same rate they were. They are trucking out, and again, this will be the time to start that with crops coming off, they will start hauling more product out. Matthew, if you could look into the original agreement as to whether there is a volume of product allowable on site or projected volume, then we can work with that.
Because I believe there was a minimum, or I'm sorry, maximum. And that they were not to be, that they would clear it all out within a certain time frame. And it's been pretty stagnant for some time. And I
Well,
realize
there's-
there's issues with,
Yeah,
sales and that sort of.
there's 8 to 10
Maybe some in
trucks, a
their
lot of their,
government license, I bet you're right.
Yeah, I think they are in excess of that
Yeah.
and.
I know they are putting up some more,
Fencing.
wind fencing and stuff, so, yeah, so.
Just thought it'd be
Yeah, No,
proactive.
yeah, we can definitely look into that cost forward.
Thank you very much.
And I'm fairly fortunate, I have a pretty good relationship with Todd and the new manager now, so.
Do you know who the new manager is? Or is that Sherville or not?
It's Bobby Joe Beck,
Okay.
Council Kroll.
Had quite a bit of concern from citizens, with the special area industrial park. Special area's been down there for almost 2 years, doing construction and this and that. I guess residents like ranchers and that out in that area. It's like, where is the money coming from, I guess, what is it all?
Well, it comes from Prairie Scan,
And that's up to the special.
and that's that coal transition money, Fred, that's where the money comes for the development of that.
Yeah.
All the lots are sold. There's several MOUs signed already. There's some government approvals in place that need to be done before some of these projects can start.
So what are these projects? What are they gonna be?
Can't say,
NDAs,
well, it's non-disclosure.
yeah, right now, and when those are finalized, then that information will be public.
So the public will have nothing to do with like what goes there?
Well, no, there'll be a development permit once if they get approval for the facilities they're looking at putting in. Then they'll have to do a development permit and everything, just like we do in town. It's very awkward, but
Yeah.
there's. Yeah, it's very different, but there's process to fall into place and government approvals and so on and so forth, so.
Well, and there's potential for Hannah to benefit.
Oh,
immensely
definitely.
by population.
Yeah.
And that's where housing is a huge concern and getting developments established, to be able to accommodate. Yeah.
Hey, thank you, everybody,
Sir.
Get a slice, missed you all summer, I can see both of you, so it's a nice part about school, right?
He missed us.
I did, okay, I said